Okay. I'll show you a little bit of luring into the 2-on-2 off with Miga. She does know the 2-on-2 off, not quite as well as Chiquita, but she does know it, so I won't be able to demo the very early stages, Miga, here, of the 2-on-2 off, but the concept I hope will be clear. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my dog as lined up as I can, and then just like I've taught my dog to lure backwards before, I'm going to lure backwards. As soon as one foot touches the box, I'm going to mark and treat. Yes. Or board, if I'm using a board. In this case, I'm using a box. Good girl. And then I'm going to release and pull her forward. Free. Good girl. Okay, I'm going to do that again. As soon as one foot touches the board or steps on the board, then I will mark and treat. Yes, good girl. And at first I'm just going to do that. She may not even be stepping on the board. She might just be touching it. Free. Sit. Remember, we're going to do successive approximations. So once she's luring backwards and hitting the board in some way with her back feet, I'll increase my criteria to be that she needs to step onto the board or the box with one back foot. And it's important to try to keep your dog going straight back. In this case, I'm not luring Miga. She's moving backwards on her own because she knows this already. Free. If I were luring, yes, good. She stepped on it for a second. Yes. As soon as one foot steps on it, I mark and treat. Free. Good girl. Notice I'm not giving any cue for the behavior. We're not going to add a verbal cue for a while. Okay, once I'm getting her to comfortably lure backwards and put one foot on, I'll increase the criteria to 2 feet. Yes, good girl. Free. Yes, good girl. Good job. Free. Good girl. Yes, good. And you can, I don't know if you can see, I hope you can see, she's starting to step and reach backwards with her back feet. This is showing that she's starting to understand what's going on, what's earning her treats. Free? Good girl. So once you can lure your dog backwards onto the box reliably, that means every time you lure them backwards, you can get them onto the box. They don't skew to the sides. They don't touch the box or the board and think, ew, I touched something. But you can always get them on the board within a second or two of thinking that they're about to be on the board. That's when you start to introduce your cue word, get your spot, stop. The main cues that I hear are, I think, touch, get your spot is mine. Sometimes people say stop, sometimes they say lie down, and it seems to just mean a 2-on-2 off. I think that's confusing. But anyway, so you pick your cue, and now that I know I can reliably lure Miga backwards into the 2-on-2 off, I will start adding my cue word. Get your spot? Yes, good girl. Good job. Free? Get your spot? Yes, good girl. At this point, she does not know what get your spot means. I've only just started introducing it. Theoretically, in actuality, Miga does know. But it's just the repetition that you say, get your spot. Suddenly they put their back feet on the board and then they get their treat. And that association will teach them the basics of what the 2-on-2 off position is. Free. Get your spot. I'm still lowering her backwards at this point. Good girl. Free. Get your spot. Yes, good girl. Free. Whoops. Give the free command early or release early. At this point, you're not worrying about having them hold the position while you walk away. We're just teaching them that they're getting rewarded for doing something with their back feet, and that the cue for doing something with their back feet is get your spot or stop or whatever. Breathe. Get your spot. Yes, good girl. Breathe. Get your spot. Yes, good girl. Breathe. Get your spot. Yes, good girl. Breathe. After many, many repetitions of doing this, when it seems like sometimes they're moving backwards on their own, we will start to sometimes hold our lure hand still. So instead of luring all the way back, we'll lure part of the way back. Yes, Mika. And then stop and see if they reach back with their back feet. And that's how we will begin to, that's the very first stage of fading the lure cue and just having them get into position with the get your spot command. In order to see how much she understands and maybe to encourage her to own some of this knowledge, I might lure her part way and then just hold my hand still and wait for her to reach back that final 2 inches. Yes, good girl. Try to be as fast and accurate as you can with your verbal mark, and then of course with the treats. Free? Good girl. Get your spot. It's hard when my hand is stationary trying to pull her forward. Good girl. Very good. That's very nice. Free. You may need to keep your hand here just to encourage them to stay standing and not go into a sit. Good girl. If you put your hand behind you and they end up looking up at your face for some sort of hint as to what to do, that'll bring their head up and their butt down. So you may need to keep your hand down even when you're not luring once you're to that stage. Free. Good girl. Ooh, man, treats. Get your spot. See, now she's cocked herself to the side. It's going to be a lot harder to find her position. I'm just going to be patient, wait for her to find it. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Wait. Ask her to wait in her position. This is yet another more advanced thing to do. But notice a second ago, when she wasn't getting into the position, I waited to see if she could find it. Whoa. That wasn't good. You're so released. Yes, wait. Good girl. At some point, once they're readily luring backwards, you will need to hold your lure hand still and just get them in position, get them very close to the back of the board, and wait for them to find it with their back feet. This will require some patience. If you wait for 30 seconds and the dog, good girl, doesn't find the position, you may have to lure backwards and just keep experimenting, every day. Free. See if they know it yet. See if they reach back with their back feet.